So we all have habits that we formed when we were younger. It is probably something that it was a learned behavior. You learned it from your mom or your dad or a sibling or something like that. But these behaviors are often things, these kind of behaviors are often things that we take on because of our lack of understanding of something. So I'll give you an example from my own life. When my mom got diagnosed with breast cancer, I was quite young. I was in first grade, and I could tell that my parents were stressed out, but I didn't understand what cancer was. I didn't get it, but I could tell they were worried and this was hard for them. So as that progressed and I witnessed this struggle, I very much so felt that if I burdened them with how I felt about this, it would just make their life harder. So I took the course of being quite independent as a little girl into adulthood. And so much so that I had an aversion to help, that I always, from being young and witnessing my parents go through something really hard, and obviously me and my siblings as well, and our family and anyone who was, in our lives, I could tell that, or I thought that it was a good idea to withhold how I felt about the situation, because maybe if I shared how I felt, that would make life even harder for my mom and my dad. So instead, I just pretended to be strong, and that eventually turned into me being strong. So there is always a gift. But I became so good at pretending that I was okay. When I got into my now relationship with my partner, he would, I haven't been practicing this too long, but when he would ask me if I was all right, and I wasn't all right, I was so used to getting away with, oh yeah, I'm fine, and people just letting me be. But he was not gonna give up that easily. He knew me well enough to know that, okay, you're saying you're fine, but you really don't seem fine, so there's obviously something wrong. So what can I do? How can I help? What's really going on here? And this is kind of where this unraveling started, of this realization that I started hiding how I felt to try to protect or help somebody else. I felt like if I was my true self, which was sad and scared and angry and confused, that I would cause my parents to feel that too, that this would be something else for them to deal with on top of this big cancer thing that they're dealing with. So as I'm in relationship with my partner and I'm trying to convince him I'm okay and he's really not buying it, there was such a strong identity I have held about being strong and dealing with it and being okay and I'm fine and selling that. When he pushed back on me, I felt threatened. I felt like, hey, you're pushing back on me. Are you questioning me? And that's all ego, right? That's all mind, this identity, this sense of self. And as the arguments continued of, I don't think you're fine, and I'm saying I'm fine, and he's like, I don't think you're fine, and I'm like, okay, I'm not fine. This is what it is. Or actually a lot of times at the beginning of being honest about how I felt, I had to say, I don't know why I feel so upset, but this is what I'm feeling. And I just had to have space to air it out. And with that space, I started to get clearer with what was it that I was actually upset about, and I was able to kind of pinpoint it more quickly and therefore communicate it more effectively, and then actually get the help that I need, get his feedback, or just have him hold space for me to be where I am in this emotional journey. So maybe this resonates with you. Maybe you have a tendency of hiding how you feel to try to help someone else out, to not burden someone else with your stuff. But I want to remind you, like, I love helping people. And it's so interesting that I withhold information as to not burden someone when I am asking people to come to me and bring to me what weighs heavy on their heart. Tell me it all. I'm ready to hold space for you. I don't need to fix you. It's kind of like I'm so willing to give the love to other people that I seek. And it's really been a deep dive into a lot of my history about where this came from, but more so what it's protected, why I use this skill. And it is out of feeling like I have some sort of sway over someone's life, that I am somehow responsible. If I share something and it causes someone else to feel upset, I did that. And if I had just kept my mouth shut, they wouldn't be upset. And you know, when I say that, that really goes against a fundamental belief that I have, that I don't have the power to make you feel any kind of way. That is a choice of yours. You can choose to hear what I'm saying right now and take offense to it, or feel appreciated, or yeah, I mean, you could take it any way you want. And that has nothing to do with me, but rather it's a reflection of the space you're in and what you're needing assistance with.